Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host, Gersh1, and today we're going to be talking about the Deathwatch. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40K lore videos every single day, and if you have any suggestions, please comment down below. But with that said, let's get into 40 Facts on the Deathwatch. The Deathwatch Space Marines serve the Ordo Xenos of the Imperial Inquisition as its chamber militant, the warriors of last resort when the Inquisition needs access to firepower greater than that of the Imperial Guard or a team of its own agents. Unlike other Space Marines, the Deathwatch are not truly a separate chapter of the Adeptus Astartes. Rather, they are a collection of veteran Space Marines drawn from all different chapters who served together in the Inquisition's service for a discrete period of time. To be chosen by one's chapter to serve in the Deathwatch is a great honor for any Space Marine, as only the most elite and experienced members of chapters are ever chosen for this extremely hazardous tour of duty. The origins of the Deathwatch are uncertain in current Imperial records, but can be traced to the arrival of the Imperial frigate Eisenstein at Terra at the start of the Horus Heresy in the early 31st millennia. During this time, a small force of loyalist Space Marines from the Traitor Legions arrived in the Sol System to inform the Emperor of Mankind that the War Master Horus had betrayed him at Isstvan III and been corrupted by chaos. To learn more about these events, please check out our series, the Horus Heresy 40 Fact series. While not definitive, it seems likely that the contingents of loyalist Death Guard Space Marines who had arrived on Terra aboard the Eisenstein formed the initial core of what would later become the Deathwatch, hence providing the name for the new Astartes formation. For millennia, they have watched, waited, and fought amongst the lost stars and abandoned worlds of the Jericho Reach. They serve as a sort of guardsmen to the rest of the Imperium, protecting from what lurks in the Reach. The Jericho Reach, once known as the Jericho Sector, is a region of space close to the eastern fringe of the Milky Way galaxy in the Ultima Segmentum. This area of the galaxy was once a part of the Imperium of Man in ancient days, until it fell into an age of isolation, disintegration, and evil. It has been lost to the Imperium for over 4,000 Terran years. The domains of the Deathwatch in the Jericho Reach exist to aid them in the Long Watch. These places are held by them and them alone, secret and well guarded. These domains range from the vast and mysterious watch fortress of Arioch, which circles a dying star, to the many lesser watch stations standing silent on the forgotten worlds, airless moons, and in the dead marshes of space throughout the Jericho Reach. The domains best serve the Deathwatch by providing places where they can gaze into the darkness beyond, rearm, gather information, or hold the line against the many enemies of mankind that infest the Jericho Reach. The presence of the Deathwatch in the Jericho Reach is a consequence of an ancient resolution made under conditions of utmost secrecy. This resolution, cause, and purpose remain obscure even to the Adeptus Astartes that carry out its terms. The result of this mysterious resolution placed the Jericho Reach directly under the eyes of the Deathwatch forever. And in order to fulfill this compact, the Deathwatch built their hidden watch fortress in the dead system of Arioch, and on the ruins of an ancient artifact. At the fortress's heart, they constructed the Omega Vault, and sealed within it is the artifact that holds terrible truths of the future yet to be born. The true nature of this secret threat remains hidden from the Deathwatch that bide in the Jericho Reach, hidden until its fated hour approaches. Part of the secret is only known by the Watch Commander and the Inquisitors of the Ordo Xenos of the Chamber of Vigilance. The information is passed down one to another over the centuries, and that knowledge guides the missions assigned to the Deathwatch of Watch Fortress Arioch. In recent times, portions of the Omega Vault's mechanisms have unlocked themselves, as if in response to changing events in the Jericho Reach, and the mission logs entered by the Deathwatch go into their engines. In some cases, an ancient weapon, device, or task has been revealed to the Deathwatch as a result. In other cases, the Omega Vault has yielded data that has drawn kill teams to distant parts of the Jericho Reach, sent into certain death, never to return. Watch Fortress Arioch stirs now as never before, and only a few locks remain before the Omega Vault opens fully. The watch stations are fortified outposts, used by the Deathwatch in the Jericho Reach. There are many watch stations scattered across the world, moons and cold voids of the Reach, and no two watch stations are quite the same. Some take the form of single-blocked armored bastions from which eagle-headed gargoyles glare out at the silent expanse of dead worlds. Others are complexes of forbidding towers, strung through the peaks of lunar mountain ranges, while yet others are small, jagged stations that watch from the blackness of space. Each station is fitted with highly advanced sensors that constantly gather information about the area around them. These sensors gaze far into space, scour the air for communications of all types, and even skim the warp with powerful witch-sight augurs. All the information gathered by the watch station is stored in a data reservoir in the heart of the station. When any Deathwatch Space Marine leaves a watch station, it is his duty to take a copy of the information gathered by the station and return it to the Watch Fortress Arioch for entry into its records. Small, high-speed warp-capable vessels known as Dark Hunters are designed to slip unseen through the stars while they make their rounds, harvesting watch stations' valuable data. All watch stations house weapons and materials to some extent, arms that can be assessed by any Deathwatch kill team that needs them. Many also have extensive medical, analysis, and armory facilities that any Deathwatch kill team that needs them can avail themselves of, although to gain full extent of their use, the specialist skills of an apothecary or tech marine are required. Most watch stations are not physically manned by Battle Brothers, except for when they function as a base of operation in the field. Many watch stations can go for decades without a Battle Brother crossing their threshold. During the normal course of events, watch stations are maintained, operated, and if needed, defended by the finest automated systems the machine cult can provide. If a watch station is attacked, its protection can sustain it from all but the most determined and powerful assault. If breached, it will self-destruct, annihilating itself utterly, leaving nothing of its secrets to the enemy. A watch station's greatest defense, however, are the secrecy, remoteness, and concealment of its existence. Watch Station Archaz is an armored space station resembling a spiked iron pinwheel floating on the outreach of the Arcus system. The watch station is small, with enough space to accommodate no more than a dozen Battle Brothers. Most of the station is given over to the systems of its massive sensory arrays, designed to both monitor and gaze beyond the Arcus system. Unusually, Watch Station Archaz is home to an assigned astropath dedicated to its service. The current astropath is a deeply experienced practitioner of his craft called Varus. It has been many months since he has been able to personally send or receive messages through the warp with any reliability or clarity, thanks to the growing shadowy presence that moves in the warp, blocking out both astropathic signals and filling the watch stations with static and buzz like a swarm of locusts. The Archaz system itself has a number of planetary bodies, including 2 that are capable of supporting life. However, both are desert worlds, possessed of little to no water, and from which jagged spines of black rock emerge like bones of great fossilized beasts. There are a few sand-arid remains, which indicate that these worlds played host to intelligent life in the distant past, possibly even human colonies, though nothing of them remains. The system has many reasons why the Deathwatch should stay vigil. It has been both battlegrounds of man and alien, and the site of several strange energy phenomenons, which will remain unexplained. The airless third moon of Arcas II still bears the charred remains of an orc terror ship brought down by the Deathwatch boarding action centuries ago. The system and its inhabitants have recently been attacked by a rising swarm of Tyranids. The defenders are commanded by the General Casterlix, who is entirely ignorant of the watch station's presence. Deep in the midst of the Hades anomaly lies an empty star system composed of little more than a massive, nameless blue giant, a scattering of small planetoids, and trillions of square kilometers of beautiful rolling dust clouds. The Hades anomaly is a raging warp phenomenon that lies at the core of the Jericho Reach in the eastern fringe of the galaxy. Here, in this out-of-the-way system, carved into a massive, deeply scarred asteroid is Watch Station Belarius, long thought lost and destroyed in the depths of the Hades anomaly. Built by the Deathwatch millennia ago to monitor Xenos activity in and around the important worlds that once lay at the center of the Jericho Reach, a tour on the Watch Station of Belarius was once one of the most coveted assignments for a Deathwatch battle brother. It was newly constructed and located near the beating heart of the sector, but well removed from it and isolated in its system. This arrangement allowed a battle brother solitude for his contemplations and devotions, but also kept him close enough to the sector at Varanus and many important warp routes so that if he and his kill team could respond to threats at a moment's notice. When the fall came, the battle brothers stationed at the Watch Station Belarius were simply overwhelmed by the sheer number and force of the demons screaming in from the Immaterium. When the Hades anomaly opened and spilled the raw energies of the warp into the Jericho Reach, it all but engulfed Watch Station Belarius. In an instant, most of the Watch Station's inhabitants, chapter serfs and battle brothers alike, were mutated or killed outright by the intensifying of the warp energies. Those who survived this initial onslaught were left alone and cut off from all support, but left alone to defend the Watch Station from the hordes of slavering demons and warp entities that swarmed into Belarius, devouring all before them. The battle brothers and remaining chapter serfs fought to the last. The Watch commander took his own life as his body twisted and mutated before his very eyes. One final astropathic transmission was received by the Watch Station Midale, 72 Terran Standard Hours after the first arrival of the anomaly. A short message that stated simply, "We are holding our own." The Watch Station on Crestis recently came under attack by a group of Chaos renegades who believed that they had discovered a treasure trove of powerful artifacts. With the aid of the automated defenses of the station, a single battle brother on patrol beat back the attackers, though the structure sustained a great deal of damage. The battle brother repaired the damage before leaving the station to continue his vigil. The repairs performed on the station did not address all of the damage as previously believed. The renegade's attack did more damage than anyone could have discovered. The Chaos forces left behind a warp entity on Crescent, a being of pure malice and hatred that wormed its way into the station's pathway and data core. The station now possessed a malignant intelligence that guided its sensors and readings, searching the surrounding area for something that only it knew. To date, the information gathered by the station has been manipulated and altered by the demon, and all information relayed to the Deathwatch has been scrubbed off of anything of value. To the Imperium, Crescent Station continues to monitor a dead world and its surrounding environments with little of value detected. Should a kill team arrive on Crescent to utilize the station, they would find a common watch station with nothing out of the ordinary at first glance. However, if any length of time were spent inside its walls, the demon's bloodthirsty nature would take hold and subject any within to halls of horror. Watch Station CX-3119 was established to study the Hades anomaly nearly 800 years ago. Due to reports fluctuating of the anomaly, this watch station was initially created to be mobile. In addition to the usual banks of sensors, this station also sported powerful warp detectors to warn of any dangerous expansion of the anomaly that may place the structure at risk. Sadly, these devices did not provide enough notice when the Hadex expanded to nearly half again its size, sucking the station into the anomaly and cutting it off from the Deathwatch. At the time, the station was unmanned, and while the Imperium was loath to lose a valuable monitoring tool, it considered the station gone and classified it as destroyed. One can imagine the surprise of all with the Deathwatch when the watch station CX-3119 reappeared in the 815th year of the 41st millennium. The station's reappearance was provoked great debate amongst the chapter of Vigilance and the Inquisition. The structure's new location is many light years from where it originally vanished, creating additional speculation on the nature of the anomaly. Many wish to investigate the station to see what details the station's sensors have recorded during its time within the anomaly. While the matter is debated, an elaborate system of quarantine beacons have been put in place, warning all ships to keep a safe distance from the station. Located deep in the storm-wrecked mountain range of Yobel II, Watch Station Yobel is less of a watch station and more of a fortress. Its winding halls are carved out of the very mountain itself, and its facilities are large enough to house and train multiple kill teams simultaneously. Yobel has acted as a primary launch point for all operations into the Hadex anomaly, and contains various ancient devices for monitoring and observing the movements of Xenos in and around the Warp Rift. Inside the station, the dark halls are all but empty except for a few serfs and servitors, and the two battle brothers whose task it was to stay ever vigilant for the rise of whatever unknown threat the desolate planet possesses. From what the Deathwatch could ascertain, its original purpose was to watch over the valleys far below the mountain on which it stands. A grand network of pict feeds have been assembled and maintained across the surrounding area of the planet, though the images they transmit back to the watch station are commonly blurry and distorted from the massive electrical interference within the planet's atmosphere. There was little evidence as to why the architects of the watch station desired the barren valley to be observed. Year after year, the pict feed would return nothing but gray static images of a barren landscape. Fanciful tales were passed down amongst the serfs, tales of mechanical horrors that stalked the valleys during the worst of the storms. There are some battle brothers amongst those who have served at the watch station that believe the tales of the serfs. Scattered through the archives are different grainy pics, saved from the feeds that depict looming silhouettes of mechanical spiders, a faint green glow emitting from the lines on their bodies through the distortion in the storm. Each time one of these pictures was taken, the battle brothers would leave to investigate after the storm subsided, but would find no evidence that any such being ever existed. This has led to the watch station getting a strong reputation for ghost stories and tall tales. Since the Eculus Crusade came to the Jericho Reach, watch station Yobel has seen a radical transformation. As the Hadex anomaly expands, it has begun to consume the system around it. One such lost world houses watch station Midel, the closest Deathwatch outpost to the anomaly. With the loss of Midel, Yobel became the closest, and it began housing all kill teams operating in the area. This increase in traffic was far larger than the small tower could possibly house, and as more and more kill teams passed through it, it became a necessity to expand the watch station. Tech Marines and serfs, under the supervision of Harl Greyweaver, began construction to enlarge the watch station, hollowing out the very mountain it stood on. Intricate networks of passages were carved out, a giant hangar was created, and ancient equipment was shipped in. Within the course of a decade, the watch station turned from a lonely tower to a versatile space marine fortress. Now the hallways of watch station Yobel bustle with activity. Banks of Cognitor process information on Xenos activity in and around the Hadex anomaly. Kill teams prep for missions, and Ordo Xenos Inquisitors commonly make use of all the facility has to offer. With the explosion of activity within Watch Station Yobel, its original purpose has been pushed to the background, all but forgotten. The network of pictures and cognitors continue to monitor the valley, but all its fuzzy data is stored away and forgotten. But as the Deathwatch focuses on the anomaly, something began to awake deep beneath the planet's surface. Watch Station Midel sits on the dead world shrouded in a metallic gray dust that lies close to the spinward extent of the chaos-held Karen worlds. The Watch Station takes the form of a single armored tower that rises from a spur of rocks above one of the world's dusted plateaus. Watch Fortress Ariok has not received word from this station in over 3 decades. In truth, it is a dead and lifeless place, inhabited by a lone Deathwatch battle brother, cut off from the outside by the spreading baleful influence of the Karen stars. For more than 30 years, he has waited for others of the Deathwatch to come and relieve him, standing guard over the thing that is held in the deepest chambers of the tower. Slowly, the Watch Station servitors have failed and died. The tower systems have become corrupted. Every few years, enemy forces come again to claim it. So far, they have failed to defeat the lone brother of the Deathwatch, who waits within. Outside the tower, the screaming wind howls, and the bloody light of the Hadex anomaly flares, ever larger in the cold skies. And those were 40 facts on the Deathwatch. If you guys have suggestions for any other videos, please comment down below. But with that said, I'll talk to you tomorrow. This is Gershwin with One Mind Syndicate signing out.
Always used to put my freedom first.